Story 1. My sister-in-law, 37 female, isn't speaking to anyone, including her mom, 60 female, because we put my kid, 2, first. So I made a post about her a week ago regarding a huge fight on Christmas between my sister-in-law and my husband. To keep it short, she had an attitude because the previous day went to look at Christmas lights without her because she took forever, and because of the attitude she didn't put her humongous dog away. My toddler was scared of it all Christmas Day, and my baby couldn't enjoy her day. Also, her family gave my kids RSV. Knowingly. So days later, she went on Instagram and called us toxic in a post. My husband and I unfollowed her and left her alone. I talked to my mother-in-law yesterday, and she said that her daughter isn't talking to her anymore because my mother-in-law agreed that the dog should have been put away. My sister-in-law's exact words were, "You're supposed to put me first before the grandkids," meaning my kids. How do we go about it with someone who talks like that? Is there any way to get through to her? I don't know. When a person is 37 years old and doesn't care enough about children, what would be her niece or nephew and her mom's grandkids and stuff, when she doesn't care at least as much about them as herself, that's just kind of a selfish person, and I don't know that she's gonna change at that point, being 37 years old, unless you all are just like, oh, you don't want to talk to us anymore? Yeah, we don't want to talk to you. You're kind of unpleasant. Like, I don't know what else you do, and at that point, she might still just think that she's justified, so you can try and have some good, open, honest conversation with her, but I don't exactly feel like that's going to help necessarily, so I don't know, give it a try, but otherwise, if she doesn't want to talk to you, that doesn't seem like the worst outcome. Story 2. I got an angry text from my child's father's wife about him spending money on us. I met this man at work when I was 21, he was 30. He was my first relationship, and I ended up pregnant. We broke up when our son was 2, and he's now 10. He got married 5 years ago and has 2 small children. It might seem weird, but he's kept that part of his life very separate from our son and I. I've never met his wife or his other children, and neither has my son. My son doesn't spend nights with him. This is something his father and I both agree on. I don't want my son feeling like the odd one out. His dad sees him a couple evenings after work and on the weekend. Usually it's just them, but occasionally the 3 of us do something together. He's not on child support, but he provides for our son financially. My son gets him less than his other kids, so he compensates how he can. My son has a PS5, a new iPhone, and an expensive bike. His dad gives him Roblox money and Lego sets whenever he asks. He reimburses me for buying him nice clothing and shoes. He pays for his school and sports. I get the occasional gift, and it's usually flowers. He gives me more on a special occasion like Christmas or my birthday. Once in a while, he'll take me shopping as a thank you for being a good mom. We don't have intercourse. And this is the subject of the text I got from his wife, someone I've never communicated with. What she wrote: "My name is her name. I know we don't know each other, but I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. You are a sick woman for doing what you do. He is married. You had your chance and lost him. You're sleeping with a married man. He's not yours just because you had his kid, a kid you used to take his money. My kids are his legitimate children and don't have half of what he buys your son. Why? Because I can't bribe him with intercourse. You have no right to take gifts from my husband or have him in your house. I watch what he spends, so don't ever think I don't know what's going on. You're not half as slick as you think you are. You aren't going to take him from me." I have no idea what to even think. I did not expect this after years of no communication. I'm very uncomfortable. This whole situation doesn't sound great to me. Like, okay, he has a different wife and some other kids with that wife, but his son, nothing to do with it. That he can't be a part of it. He's a separate thing, and I see him a couple times a day, and I just buy him a lot of good stuff, and that's all that is. Like, that, am I wrong that that's kind of a weird arrangement? Like, as a kid, I mean, I know, we can all say, like, as a kid, like, yeah, I'd rather have the PS5. Like, me right now, yeah, I'd like a PS5, sure, but I think as a kid, I would more rather have a relationship with my dad and not be getting, like, sectioned off, where it's like, no, I can see my dad very briefly here and there, but otherwise he wants nothing to do with me, and I don't get to know his other family because I'm not his real family. Like, that seems weird. I don't like that. I don't want to judge them. If it works for them, I guess, but I can also see where, like, as his current wife, that would be a weird arrangement. Like, no, honey, you can never meet her or my other child, and I will see them and spend money on them and stuff, but you'll never meet. Like, I don't know. It seems like a really almost kind of weirdly immature way of doing things, like just this denial of everything. I don't like any of this. Story 3. Laid off and replaced by 2 lazy, privileged waffles. I used to be in charge of the printer room in a rather large company. We shipped a crap ton of product every day, and everything shipped had to have the accompanying printed label/documents. Nothing can even be loaded onto the trucks without this paperwork. Now, this was in the olden days of the 90s, so we had 7 massive 7-foot-tall dot matrix printers that did all the work. These printers were temperamental bastards, and if the paper jammed, the printer did not automatically stop printing. It would just keep pushing/jamming more and more paper into the machine until it left unattended, it would break down. Running the printer room was a 2-person job. When I started, I trained for 2 full weeks with the 2 current printer room employees. One was being promoted, I was replacing him. It was a rough 2 weeks, let me tell you, getting the hang of the job, the various things you had to learn, do, etc. One thing that made it even more complicated was the fact that each printer has its own personality with its own problems. Another was the fact that a problem in one printer could have a different fix than the exact same problem in another. The job would be quiet for 45 minutes straight, during which we did routine maintenance and such, but was really slow and quiet and restful. Because this company processed its shipping orders in batches once an hour, and then boy on the hour, every hour, the batch of orders would go through and thousands of orders would come spitting out. Now, if you were on top of things and kept everything running smoothly, the orders would print out very neatly and quickly. But if you didn't know what you were doing, if you didn't maintain things just right, you'd get a backup and things would go to crap very, very fast. And when one machine went down, you had to fix it fast before the next one jammed, because guaranteed those machines would jam up multiple times on every batch print job. So I've been working in the print room for several months, and things were great. Then my coworker gave his 2 weeks notice. We tried to train my replacement, but he was incredibly lazy and got fired fairly a few days after the end of his training, which left me in the printer room alone. Then the bosses informed me that my position is being phased out, and I'm going to be replaced by 2 employees transferred from a different department. So not only am I losing my job, but I have to train my replacements. And I desperately needed a good recommendation from this company, so I couldn't just quit or half-butt it. I quickly learned that both of these transfers are lazy and useless. They'd been with the company for decades, had friends in the head office, and knew their jobs were safe. I'd show them how to do something, and they'd flat out laugh and say, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." Every day, I'd be trying to train them, and they would ignore me, chat with each other, and leave to go sit in the cafeteria, leaving me to do a 2-person job alone. Luckily, I was good enough to handle the workload, but it was annoying. Mindful of the fact that I needed a reference of this company, I kept extensive notes on each day's progress. I clearly documented every single instance of the replacements refusing to learn, even listening to my instructions. I also followed up daily with my direct supervisor, and he knew what was going on. And my notes went into the company files and were passed up the line. Despite my scathing reports, the head office did nothing. Now it's my last day. This is the day the training process assigned for letting the newbies work alone with no help or supervision allowed to see how well they handle the job and the pressure. I was, in writing, forbidden to help them or answer any questions. As I expected, things fell to crap pretty much immediately, minutes into the first batch of orders. One of the biggest printers jammed, and the clueless T's had no idea how to fix the printer jam, because they ignored me every time I tried to show them how. So they turned to me and demand that I fix things. I'm sitting on a desk, coffee in one hand, an apple in the other, and smile and say, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." So one of them is yelling at me while the other is basically thumping uselessly on the printer like a gorilla that just found a candy machine. Then a second printer jams. Paper starts spilling out the back of the first printer, which, if you knew the job, was a really, really, really bad warning sign. "Well, I'm going to the cafeteria. Good luck," I say as I stand up. As I'm leaving here, a third printer crunch and jam up. I went to my supervisor and let him know what was happening. He said he not only expected as much, he had predicted so repeatedly to his superiors. He once again specifically forbade me from offering any help, so I went to the cafeteria and read my book for a little over an hour. Then my supervisor comes to me to let me know what happened. The entire printer room is down, every single printer either jammed up or actually broken. The company is losing thousands of dollars every single minute. One of the shipper receiving supervisors finds me, all in a panic, begging me to get the orders printed. Sorry, I'm not allowed to do that, I replied. Now several people are running around outside the cafeteria, all in a panic, running from place to place to figure out why they don't have any shipping orders. The chaos took hours to resolve, and I wasn't allowed to fix the problems. Anytime someone started giving me a hard time, my supervisor would intervene and show the memo from the bosses stating that I was forbidden to help in the printer room that day. I spent the entire last day at work drinking coffee, chatting with coworkers, and reading my book. The whole fiasco ended up costing the company tens of thousands of dollars. I do love the catharsis of that story, but come on! Did they get fired? Did something else happen? Like, I need something. You know they didn't get fired. You just know they didn't. They probably whined and complained and said that you didn't do anything, even though you had it all on file. Like, you've denied me this perfect wrap-up of saying that they lost their jobs because they were complete a-holes. And listen, I'm all for slacking off at a job if you can. Seriously, find your breaks wherever, whenever you can. So long as you're doing your job and getting stuff done, to heck with them. If you've got time to lean, good. The end of that sentence. But don't do it to the point where you're just letting stuff break down or refusing to learn how to do your job. That's especially when you're leaving it all on one person to try and do a two-person job. Terrible. I hope they got fired, or that they're just... I hope nothing good came of that and they maybe learned a lesson. Story 4. I spent $5,000+ to inconvenience and embarrass a competitor who treated me like crap. It was worth it. So I used to run a small business, Wedding Space, and I was very successful in a very short period of time, to the point that I was getting all expense-paid invites to industry conferences less than 6 months after I opened. Needless to say, this ruffled feathers. Enter Kate. Kate is a chief Karen who competes in the same space and has been nothing but awful to me from the moment she became aware that I wasn't just competition, I was doing better business than her. She would complain that I had gotten expenses paid, implied that it was because I was pretty, said that she felt people who had been in the space longer deserved it more, and made a vaguely racist statement about how my outfit colors don't look good on dark-skinned people. She also reported my booth for accidentally being less than 3 inches outside our 10x10 slot, and has tried on more than one occasion to have my competing products removed from vendor halls. Needless to say, I despise this woman. Now fast forward a little bit into the pandemic. I see major issues on the horizon for my business, so I decide to step out and sell for a pretty penny. Bought a condo, took a job at a nonprofit, and moved along with my life. But some of my friends still in the industry would give me updates or vent, and I was absolutely right to sell. Most everyone doing what I do had already closed, including the person I sold to. Kate, however, was still going strong, though I noticed her prices were really aggressive. My friend then showed me SS that Kate had bragged privately about claiming to be unemployed/disabled by using her longtime partner as a cover for her business, then dropping prices below what other sellers could do because she was double dipping. This really made me angry. I have a mobility disability, and I felt horrible for the people she was running out of business by pricing so low. So I, of course, reported her, but nothing seemed to come of that. Then, one of the biggest conferences of our local industry came up on my calendar. This conference costs $8,000 to $10,000 to vend at, and many vendors make 50% plus of their yearly income from this one event. My friend runs the vending hall, so I asked her to place me right next to Kate. Now, when I left the industry, I still had great contacts on the manufacturing side because I speak Chinese fairly well. I found the manufacturer for Kate's top-selling items and ordered a sizable inventory to take with me to the conference. I priced them at cost and made ginormous signs about inventory liquidation and created these super aggressive bundle deals that made it nearly impossible for her to do any business being right next to me. I could see her over there fuming, and she did try to come over and complain, but Our booth was too busy to even entertain her obnoxious huffing and puffing. She closed her shop last week. I lost about $5,000 doing this, but I got a lot of deals on packages and items that they never thought they could afford for their special day, and it was honestly fun to help people out, especially at her expense. When you're a miserable person who tries to undercut and screw over other people, eventually, a lot of the time, it comes back to bite you in the butt in one way or another. That's just the way karma works. Hopefully, most of the time. Not always. Why you keep bringing up billionaires and stuff like this? Shut up. I don't want to hear it. But for a lot of these people, it does, okay? A lot of the times, if you're just going to be an absolute jerk, then you have no friends to help you out when things go bad. No one wants to help you. Everyone wants you destroyed. And when everyone wants you destroyed, eventually you will be destroyed. Story 5. Worst Karen I've ever seen caused a blow-up for the ages because I wouldn't give her son a black belt on his first day of karate. Background: I teach Kenpo Karate as a second-degree black belt. I also have an assistant, Kira, a first-degree black belt in her own right. I don't own the gym, my instructor does, but since he's gotten older, me and Kira handle the younger classes while he handles the business side of things plus adult classes. We have 3 classes. Kids class, age 5 to 10, intermediate class, age 11 to 15, adult class, age 16 and up. Main story. So, kids class has just ended when a woman walks in with her son. She says her 13-year-old son wants to take karate lessons, so I shake hands with her and have her sit down with my instructor to fill out the waivers and get him his gi measurements. Other students file in for the intermediate class and me and Kira get down to business. I take the bulk of the class, around 15 kids, while Kira goes with the new student one-on-one to teach him basic strikes and stances. Not 5 minutes later, I hear Kira upset telling the new boy to do 10 push-ups. Why? He called Kira, who's essentially a volunteer, an effing bee. Karen, the mother, stands up and says her son can't do push-ups as she doesn't want her son to be sore. Kira lets him do the push-ups on his knees, but not 5 minutes later, she makes him do 20 more since he's now called her a S. For reference, Kira is in her early 20s and the boy is 13, not to mention there's other parents and kids here as well. It's wholly inappropriate. So I walk over and ask Kira to switch with me. As she does, she gives me the bug eyes and mouths, "What the F?" So I walk over and ask the boy why he insulted my assistant Kira. He says he doesn't like girls. When I asked him what he meant, he said he only listens to his dad or other boys. He won't listen to me at all. He needs some discipline, the mother confirms to me, chuckling, as if raising a monster is something to laugh about. When do I get a black belt like you have? The boy asks me. Mind you, he's been punching air the entire time. The boy is aggressively hyper. Well, it takes quite a while. I've been training since I was 5 and earned my black belt at 21, so it took me a while, I say. Nah, I don't want to wait that long. I want mine now, he says, his chubby face now red and sweaty from the shadow boxing. The mother motions me over and whispers in my ear, "Do you think you could give him one, just to make him happy?" No, sorry, he has to earn one. We aren't a belt factory. Well, he never gets told no. I'm sorry, but that's not how we do things here. I have money. I can pay you extra. No, sorry, we only give belts when they're earned. After several minutes of arguing and conversation that leads nowhere, Karen snaps at me. I paid you to give my son a black belt! She stands up and points a finger in my face. It was so sudden that I reflexively took a step back. Hey, chill out, lady, some of the other parents chime in. Before I can reply to Karen, I hear a loud commotion behind me. I hear more parents and students shouting. I turn and see a new boy smacking and hitting a girl in the class. Kira is shouting, "Hey, stop!" However, this girl that new boy is hitting is a purple belt and a little bad A of her own. She loads a front kick and hits the brat boy's center mass right in his flabby stomach. He shouts and doubles over, crying tears of pain. I was so freaking proud of her. Hey, that little bee hurt my son! Karen runs past me into the mat and gets in the face of the 14-year-old girl her son just attacked. This girl is already scared and starts to cry, but Karen ups the ante and shoves this girl in the chest with her hand. Kira gets between them and is red-faced, enraged. I immediately rush over and try to defuse the situation, but neither of them are having it. Parents stand up and start shouting. "Keep your hands off my daughter!" The girl's father, who was with the other parents, yells at Karen. He starts approaching aggressively, but backs off when he realizes me and Kira, both black belts, are by her. Now, you should know something about Kira. She's under 5 foot, less than 110 pounds soaking wet, but she can still kick my butt up and down the mat on any given day. She's fast, accurate, and insanely flexible. She can control her body and perform techniques that I just simply can't. So, Kira and Karen get into a shoving match with each other. I tell Karen to leave with your kid and don't come back. Don't you ever lay a hand on any of my students. Do you understand? I raised my voice and was genuinely peed off. "F you, my son needs a black belt, and you won't give him one," she screams at me. "Your son is crazy. He attacked our students," Kira interjects. But this sets Karen off, and she reaches and tries to slap Kira in the face. Big mistake. Having had enough, Kira parries the smack and fires an absolutely vicious leg kick right into the meat of Karen's inner thigh with nothing held back. The slap sound of Kira's shin bone decimating Karen's thigh echoes off the ceiling like a slab of meat getting thrown on the floor. It was glorious. Karen gasped as she fell onto the mat in a heap. "Oh my God!" She held her leg as the brat boy got up and rushed at Kira. I got in front of her and grabbed the boy's wildly swinging arms. He hit me a few times, but I refused to hit children whatsoever. I let him tire himself out. One of the parents called the police. After interviewing everyone involved, they determined that Kira and myself acted in self-defense. Neither of us wanted to pursue assault charges against Karen, but the parents of the girl Karen shoved rightly felt differently about it, so Karen was hauled away in handcuffs. Karen said she'd sue me and Kira in civil court, but since we have legal waivers, here's hoping nothing comes of that. As for the boy, I honestly feel bad. His childhood has been robbed by poor parenting, and I wish we could have had more time to straighten him out. I have a particular dislike for his views of women, and I feel like I really could have helped turn him around. Maybe, maybe not. So yeah, that was my experience tonight. Hope you all enjoyed reading it more than I did going through it. Good on Kira for acting in self-defense, because, yeah, that woman was attacking her, and her son was attacking a girl, and that woman attacked a teenage girl, like pushing her and stuff. That's assault. You can't do that. Like, so many things wrong with how she is parenting, like just trying to give her son whatever he wants, admitting like, yeah, he doesn't listen to women and stuff. Better just do what he says. Like, you're a bad parent. You're a genuinely bad parent, and you're laughing about it. You're laughing that your son has become this entitled, bigoted brat. Like, do you not want him to get better? What is wrong with you, Karen? Oh my gosh, I hope he learns a lesson by you being hauled away and having charges pressed against you. Yeesh. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.